Alright, it looks like you're not going to leave. So let's just start. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over what, like I said, I'm trying to keep in sync as much as possible with where Paul is. And the next thing he's talking about is network basics. Having me talk about network basics is kind of like having me talk about how to service your vehicle. I'm not very good at either one of them. But I am going to go over the stuff that's in here. We're going to watch a couple of these videos. They're not very long. How the internet works in 5 minutes, a 2-part series, how the internet works for web developers. Then we will look at this handout here, Network Basics TCP/IP Protocol Suite. And we'll look at the 7-layer model, as it's called. Talk about that a little bit. All right, so first, and I'm going to pause this because I can't really take a video while I'm taking a video. It just doesn't work very well. So I'm going to pause this, and we're going to watch a couple of these videos. All right, so we looked at how the internet works in 5 minutes. We looked at how the internet works for web developers. All right, now a couple things that you have to be familiar with, because you will take a written test on Wednesday. I already told you what question 1 was, all right, of the 4 questions that are on there. Basically, question 1 is, what is a server and what is a client? So what is a server? Yeah, it's a data store. It's a computer, all right, but it's a computer with a direct connection to the internet that's basically connected all the time, and it's a more powerful computer, and it's a computer that's designed to basically hold a lot of information that other computers can use. What's a client? Yeah, it's your computer. Whether you think so or not, most people don't have a 24/7 internet connection. Most people, there's at least times during the day with your computer that it's off. All right. How do they communicate with one another? Well, even if you weren't watching, you all look thrilled to be watching those videos. But how did the guy, the first one, how did the guy define the internet? He said it was a what? One word. He said it was a wire. Basically, it's a communication mechanism. Again, whether it's an actual wire, whether it's satellite transmission, whatever it is, that allows clients and servers to speak with one another. Speak is not the greatest word, but it's the one that we'll use. All right, let's take a look at this. TCP/IP, transmission, what is it, control protocol, internet protocol. The protocol on which the internet is built is actually not a single protocol, but a suite of related protocols. Do you have to care? Well, this is what you have to care about, so please look. Right here. It says the TCP/IP suite is a 4-layer model. What does that mean? Look at the picture here. The farther down you go, the closer to the machine you are. The farther up you go, the closer to the user you are. Does that make sense? So there's 4 layers in here. There is a network interface layer, a network layer, a transport layer, and an application layer. We'll talk about each one in a minute. But there is a question on your next test that basically asks you what the 4 layers are, and what do each of the layers do, and what's the most common protocol in each layer. Well, you know what? You better not get that one wrong. All right. I'd say in here, in the application layer, HTTP would be the most common. Now, this is kind of an old picture, because more and more places are going to HTTPS as opposed to HTTP. All right. Second layer, the transport layer, TCP. Third layer, IP. Fourth layer, probably Ethernet. But if, I don't know, have you ever noticed this? If I do this, see where it pushed me? To HTTPS, which says either they had a problem with somebody trying to break into their website, or they were advised that possibly somebody could try to break into their website. That's why, like I said, more and more places are switching from HTTP to HTTPS. That doesn't mean, I want you to understand this. That doesn't mean, like, for example, if I go out to a banking site, let's say, that doesn't mean that every single page on the banking site is an HTTPS page. Okay? If I go out to a banking site and I click a link that says, give me information about your money market account. Give me information about your Christmas club account. Does that page have to be HTTPS? Probably not. All right? But anything that's working with accounts, etc., those would have to be. All right, so as it says, the lowest level is the network interface layer down here. Now notice what it corresponds to. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 layers in this OSI model. All right, do you need to know about the OSI model? That's more or less, that's a lot of what they talk about in the other program next door. So those of you who had talked last week and said, yeah, I thought of going into the hardware program, this is a lot of the stuff you'd be working with. And I don't mean to say it's the only thing, not at all. But you would be responsible for understanding the OSI protocol, to understand TCP/IP layering, and to understand TCP/IP protocols. All right. Now notice, the application layer, as it says there, corresponds to the upper 3 layers of the OSI model. This layer right here, if you look on the screen, that layer corresponds to all 3 of these. Then there's a 1-to-1, a 1-to-1, and a 1-to-2. All right. So you are asked in these 4 layers right here. All right. You are actually asked what the 4 layers are and what each layer does. So let's go over what they are and what each layer does. All right. So the 4 layers of the TCP/IP suite are these layers. I don't know what, there's the layers, okay, and there's the corresponding protocol. So you will be asked, you'll be expected to know what the 4 layers are. So look on the screen. Application layer, transport layer, network layer, network interface layer. All right? And here's the actual 7 layers that they showed. I'm not going to read a bit of this. All right? I emailed everything I'm showing you right now, I've emailed to you. So you've got it. So let's take a look in a little bit more depth. First of all, look on the screen here. Every request includes a method. Well, this is another question on the test. What are the 3 most commonly used HTTP methods? See them right there? Get, post, and delete. The advantage of using a get, just so you know, the advantage of using a get, the advantage is it can be bookmarked. You know how to do bookmarks, right? You cannot bookmark a post. The disadvantage of using a get is it puts that information right on your screen, right in that query string, so anybody can see it. Another disadvantage of using a get is you're only allowed about 4K, 4,000 bytes of information. On the other hand, with a post, the disadvantage is it cannot be bookmarked, but it can hold a lot more data, and it's designed to hold secure data. Everybody get that? That's two of them right there. Delete. Request that an entry be deleted. As it says, always ensure that proper authentication and authorization is in place for delete. So in other words, I shouldn't be able to come in and delete somebody from the Rankin database, even myself. And it's interesting. I got an email last week. I was part of a thing where my name got put in there. I told you guys, right? There's a Jeffrey R. Scott, and he's not there anymore. Because one of the things I got on this email was a letter from Jeffrey R. Scott saying, as of September 11th, I will no longer be employed by Rankin Technical College, Jeffrey R. Scott. So a couple people had gotten a hold of me, and I'm like, no, I'm Jeffrey P. Scott. I'm still here. All right. Now, the last question on here is, what's an HTTP status code? It's a code that tells you whether or not something worked. All right, look on the screen. There are actually about 5 different kinds that you can get back. If you get something that's between 100 and 199, that basically, it's kind of like you're in purgatory. You started doing something, but you're not really there yet. Everybody get that? This is good. Anything in the 200s is success. That's a good thing. So if you were asked, what are the 3 most commonly encountered status codes? I'd say 200 would be one of them. All right. Next, redirect. All right. 301 means move permanently. You ever gone to a site when you redirect it automatically to another site? I've had that happen. That would be from here. Probably the request that people get most often that they can't stand is that one, a 404. Anything in the 400s is not good. It's error. 404 is file not found. So if you try to link to a file and you spell the name wrong, as an example, or you give it a wrong path, or if somebody removed the file, you're going to get 404 not found. Now, I don't know if I'm a teapot actually is true or not. I've never heard of that one. All right. So another one that you get quite often is this. 503, service unavailable. So I'd say the ones you'd be most likely to get would be 200, which is an okay message, 301, which is a moved permanently message, 404, which is a not found, and 503, which is a service unavailable. Do all those make sense? Like I said, this thing that's right here, you got sent this. And you also got sent these two-page PDFs. Network Basics, TCP/IP Protocol Suite, which has got all the stuff on here I just showed you. There it is. And you got Network Basics, the 7 layers of the OSI reference model. OSI stands for Open Systems Interconnection, but it's almost always known as the OSI model. There's the 7 layers. You are not asked what the 7 layers are. You are asked about the 4 layers of the TCP/IP suite. We just mentioned. There they are. See them? I would say if you're taking this test and you're like, I really wasn't listening to what the hell he said anyway, that if nothing else, I think you could literally, when you take the test, you probably could go out to Wikipedia.org and come in there, and when you do your search, of course you have to spell it right. My guess is if you come in here and you type in OSI model, there's the layers. I would guess that all the information that you need is in there. All right. Since it is 20 after 3, I don't feel like starting on chapter 6. Please read chapter 6 for tomorrow. Then on Wednesday, we're going to, I already showed you this, but I'm just going to show it to you again. We're going to start building this. We're going to get this thing to work, but we're going to get it to work solely on the client side. We're not going to use anything but jQuery, HTML, and CSS. We're going to see if we can implement our own little e-commerce store. Now, the disadvantage of doing it the way we're doing it is everything's going to be on our machine. It's not like we're going to have a real store. But I want to go through that, and then do you guys, I'm asking you, do you remember this? Give me just a second here. Do you remember? I'm asking you this. Beginning of the semester, I gave you this, amongst other things. All right? We're going to go to that book. Now, I'm going to be breaking away from what Paul's doing. Got to watch what I'm saying. Paul, if you do ever listen to this, I'm still planning on covering the material from the Naylor book. I just think that this is easier to understand than the material in the Naylor book is. When we go through the Naylor book tomorrow and we go through chapter 6 of the book, we are literally 1/3 of the way through the book. There's 18 chapters. All right? And there are a total of about 600 pages, 602 pages. By the time we get done tomorrow, like I said, chapter 6 starts on page 107 and it goes all the way to page 183. So like I said, it's 76 pages. There's a boatload of stuff. And I'm going to see, if we can cover it in about 1 to 2 hours max. Then at the end of that period, what I'd like to have you do then is finish up, those of you who still have anything to finish up on those 4 programs, get them done, get them into me. All right? Like I said, my goal is on Wednesday to be all caught up to date on everything grade-wise for both classes. Questions?